So, good morning everyone. My topic are all about technologies and libraries, impacts and implications. So, here's a historical perspective. So, this is Vannevar Bush. So, Vannevar Bush in his prophetic 1945 article, as we may think, Vannevar Bush envisions a machine called a mimics. So here is a picture of a mimics machine. So mimics is a collective memory machines that would make knowledge more accessible. No? Implementing information technologies in libraries. So, according to John Bushman, the implementation of information technology requires librarians to ask two basic questions. So, the first one is, why is the technology good for libraries, librarians, or the public? And the second one is, where will the technology lead us? So it is the librarian's duty to ask these questions and become involved in finding the answers. So all technological advances need to be approached critically with the knowledge that they may have both social and political consequences. Librarians need to be able to evaluate technologies to determine whether a given technology will harm or help the library and its community. So, digital libraries and services. So, what is digital library? So, a digital library is nothing but the transformation from traditional library. So, a library digitization is nothing but the conversion of physical media of the library, like books, periodicals, articles, etc., into a digital format. So virtual library, electronic library, library without walls, and digital library are synonymous to each other. So creating effective digital libraries pose services challenges for existing and future technologies. So according to the Digital Library Federation, that there are 5 challenges. So the Digital Library Federation look at what it sees as the major issues. So here it is. Architectural and system in libraries, standards and practices, collection development, how communities will use a digital library, long-term access to digital library. So these are the 5 challenges that the Digital Library Federation have outlined. So one of the challenges in creating digital libraries will be the building of digital collections. So digital imaging is an interlinked system of hardware, software, image database, and access subsystem, with each having their own components. So tools used for the digital library include several core and peripheral systems like hardware such as scanners, computers, and data storage software, etc. So the standards and practice so in terms of designing and implementing new technology. So information sharing about new technology is vital because few employees in libraries actually manage technological change. So libraries need to have a plan. So adapting technology and training employees and user is a smooth transition. So the library is simultaneously a consumer and supplier of information and needs to have standards to critique itself. So the issues involved in collection development. So collection development include cost, copyright, and licensing. So on phases of computerizing, support services, and the impact on the rest of the library. So how information is presented online can determine whether and to what extent it is used by the public. So the sources of digital information are coming from all kinds of places, and shared resources can help defray costs. So making decision about what information to digitize and anticipating the cost of preserving the information is the last of these challenges. So virtual reference. So in an effort to reach patron accessing the library via computers, many libraries and library consortia offer the virtual reference services. So these services can be either real-time or offset and are offered via email, instant messaging, web form interfaces, SMS, and even virtual reality games. So according to the Reference and User Services Association, virtual reference is responsive to patrons' need for convenient access to reference service. So true virtual reference is a great convenience for library patrons. So its implementation introduces several challenges for traditional libraries. So most individual institutions don't have the staffing levels necessary to monitor an IM service regularly enough for the service to be attractive to users. So for real-time virtual reference, many libraries are part of chat cooperates of consortia, some of which are able to offer reference services 24 hours a day. So however, this does mean that reference worker from other institutions who may not be as familiar with the patrons' home institution's resources may not be able to provide services of a high quality as the home institution might. Next is the access to technology. So, Gordon Flagg explained how the FCC anonymously passed a new rule on May 1997 that decreased the charges of telecommunication services to schools, libraries throughout the nations. This decision was praised by the ALA because it allows more schools and libraries to access the internet where in the base it was too costly to do so. That way, everyone has the opportunity to use this service even if they cannot afford it in their home. So some experts fear that this reduction will be difficult to sustain in the long run because it is such a big undertaking that there are legal challenges they may have to deal with. So next is physical libraries in a cyber world. So rapidly rapidly deteriorating materials create an urgent need to focus on preservation. So, particularly in research libraries. So preservation decision often fall into two major categories. So these categories are the preservation decisions, are the problems of selection and problems of medium. So the problems of selections and the problems of medium. So problem of selection, are best answered by a team of both librarians and scholars who employ criteria that is threefold, like collection, subject, and usage base. While problems of medium, on the other hand, are more subjective. So microfilm is quiet, stable, and durable, but access is somewhat limited. So digitation, while alleviating access problems, poses concern about cost, instability, and hardware and software change. Next, cost of adoption. So, libraries have been transformed and modernized by the application of information technology. So, users do not have to go to libraries. And have the opportunity to retrieve information via internet. So because of all the new technology being introduced to libraries, so the library administrators are forced to break down this budget in order to make wise decisions when it comes to long-term benefits for the library. So if a library administration follow a cost structure model, he or she will have more success determining the direct and indirect costs. Also, the library administrator will be able to understand the initial and recurring costs within the life cycle of implied information technologies. So it is common for administrators to forget to include training and other necessary costs, which may hurt their long-term budget. It is essential for library administrators to analyze each part of the budget, so she does not end up wasting any money. So monetary costs are not the only cost to adapting new technology. So author Nicholson Baker is a firm believer that adapting new technology can come at the expense of preserving history. So libraries around the country, including those at academic institutions, have replaced many of their card catalog with online access catalogs. So according to Jeff Rothenberg, the continued growth of the digital world presents 5 major challenges. So it is the first one is malleability. So malleability refers to the impermanence of digital information, from data to pictures to even identities. Unlike print, digital information can be reconfigured in ways that print information cannot. Next, Selectivity. So, selectivity address the preference by user to only consider information available online. So, dismissing information available only in print. Exclusivity. So, the digital divide comes to the forefront with exclusivity. So, since new technology is being introduced constantly, but there is no universal way to bring everyone to the same levels of competence. Vulnerability. Vulnerability highlights the inherent problems with our interconnectedness. So, while we enjoy the easy and constant flow of information and ideas, at the same time, we leave ourselves open to the security breaches and system failures. So, superficiality. So, what I feel is the greatest challenge in the digital age is this superficiality. We have access so much information, but there is no guarantee that we see is accurate. So this topic identifies the issues clearly and offers suggestions on how we can battle these challenges, but acknowledges that there is no clear-cut answer to overcoming any of them. So most users, including myself, vote against this issue in our personal life and struggle with how to reconcile them. So since the author of this acknowledges any answer leads to compromises. So thank you.